closing thoughts, last day of conference. I think I've done enough prattling, so brought you along. You were here last year. You only had one cameo role, but since then you decided to grace all the audience with your presence. Rory, what do you think?
I think it's been positive. It's definitely a different vibe to last year. Last year was very much a sense of discombobulation, I suppose. Slightly pessimistic. At the same time, you had Liz Truss in. If you remember, this was when the party itself was in quite a rut as to where to go, I think. However, this year there seems to be essentially what appears to be a dissident sort of faction coming up within the ranks of the party itself. Kind of mentioned earlier that I spoke to a ex-MP last night. I'm not sure what his surname was. However, he said he'd been in the party since the 80s, and he was essentially terrified about what might be coming through this faction, which includes MPs like Danny Kruger and Miriam Cates. So yeah, it's been interesting.
It's certainly been a lot more optimistic among the little circle that we run in, and this is our theory, that AA is wrong about Zoomers. He's right about some of them. They're wrong. The sort of children in the algorithm, but the Zennials, the closest to millennial types, the ones that are frame skeptics, particularly the ones that went to school without a smartphone, there is a cohort of those who are listening to our ideas or have come to similar conclusions of their own accord, are now in these institutions, whether or not they've passed through university, they go on a grad scheme, something like that, might be SPADs, etc., and they're pushing in the right direction. And the fact that the party is now desperate enough not just to come to us, but to permit Nigel Farage entry to the conference, for the former Home Secretary to be dancing with him at the GB News event. And then now GB News have the exclusive that has been whispered on the conference floor all morning, that Rishi Sunak could permit Nigel Farage to come back into the Conservative Party because they're so desperate for an election victory. I understand that people would be worried about there being containment. I'm sure that some of our co-hosts probably said the same thing, but I think the party are actually so worried now that they're turning to sources of dissident opinion because they can't quite get themselves out of the Michael Gove-esque rut that they're currently in, and that provides us with a bit more of an optimistic opportunity than we came here with. We thought it would just be unmitigated defeat and doomerism and pessimism, and the acceptance that Labour were going to win. And yeah, sure, there is a bit of that, but that's mainly for the wets that are crying about their extinction, where the rest of us are just like, yeah, let's go. This is our chance to shine. Yeah. Any more closing things before you haul me off to the LGBT Tories event? Because they still do the closing night thing, by the way. Again, the two guys that run it, they're nice enough. But Rory desperately wants to go to a gay party night.
It's good fun. Yeah, Connor had fun last time, so why not? No, I do. We obviously, we don't like the Tories as part of the uniparty government, which includes Labour as well. However, it's certainly worth coming to these sorts of things because it's all very well talking about politics online, and talking about the theory that goes behind it and the sort of what we see filtered through the media. But when you're actually on the floor next to these people, we were stood next to Suella Braverman last night. You're just walking past these people, having conversations with them, hearing over conversations. You realise it's very much, in a way, quite disorganised, and they're all trying to find their own way. And the only sort of point of contact you get to perhaps future happenings is when you find these factions within the party itself. So again, it's all power plays. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that disorganisation is fertile soil from which we can spring. I mean, our enemies have been capitalising on that for quite a while, for creating these seemingly neutral think tanks like the Tony Blair Institute, which are here again to provide them with policies that then get them lucrative jobs when they leave politics. And so all the incentive structures flow in the direction of a politician who might be worried about their career, worried about electability, worried to be seen to not have the answers, and then just pick up and run with someone else's policy because it seems to work. Like, we can capitalise. This is the thing that you have to understand. If you're in the room with these people, they're not hand-wringing, most of them are not in league with Schwab because they're just not that smart. Like, some of them are. Some of them definitely are, especially the Canadian cabinet. But some of them just don't have the answers. And so if we can look like we're energized, if we look like we're organized, if we can look like we can capitalize on their moment of weakness because they've been listening to the wrong advice for ages, we actually have some opportunity to not avert course currently before the next election, most likely, but at least to counter-capture the party while they are in remission as the embittered opposition.
And indeed, it's particularly revealing the sheer amount of people who either recognise us directly or know where we're from. Bear in mind, we're a relatively small platform, and we thank you all for supporting it. However, it's quite interesting, to say the least, how many sort of people our ideas are filtering down to. So this is why your support counts. We are actually making moves in the government itself, you know. So
Yeah. Or trickling up to, as it turns out. We won't betray any names, but well, to all of you viewers and all of you viewers in high places, thank you very much for watching. And until next year, goodbye.